Howdy folks, this is Checkers, and I'm here to once again talk about Fallout 76 and multiplayer and single player and the best way to make the most people happy. You know, over time, single player and multiplayer games have gone back and forth in importance. Back in the way olden days, Pong, if you look at it, was a multiplayer game. You couldn't actually play it alone. Well, I mean, you could, but you were basically just using both controllers. Eventually, games evolve. You have things like Pac-Man or Atari's Red Baron or Battlezone, games that you play alone, and the only way you really compete with someone else is through high scores. MUDs eventually roll onto the scene, text-based role-playing games, and there are single-player and multiplayer versions. Computer role-playing games come in, mostly, well, entirely single-player affairs, although if you're really creative, you make that a multiplayer experience. When I would play a game called Might and Magic, the very first one when it first came out, this was something that we did as a group. We had 6 characters and we split them up, usually between me and my roommate. I would drive the keyboard and he would draw the maps. This was a time before auto maps. Occasionally our girlfriends would join in and they'd help with the maps, and we'd assign everybody a character so you could decide when that character's turn came up what to do. Multiplayer can be a fun and engaging, even immersive experience. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. Just like there's nothing inherently wrong with a single player experience either. Unfortunately, over time, much of the time, whether a game is single player or multiplayer isn't decided by the design vision so much as it's decided by what is more or less expensive to produce, and that's kind of sad. I'm not saying that's the case with Fallout 76. I think Fallout 76 is what they've said it was. Basically a multiplayer design based off of Fallout 4. Now, if you haven't watched No Clip's documentary on the making of Fallout 76, please pause this video and go watch it. I will leave a link in the cards. That's the small white circle with the letter I in the upper right hand corner. You can click on it. I swear it won't bite you. I'll also leave another link to No Clip's documentary in the end screen annotations. There is some really great information about Fallout 76 in there, and it's worth looking at. So back to multiplayer and single player, it's easy to see why some people have come to love single player or multiplayer games. They go back and forth in their importance in the industry. So at some point, someone's going to be introduced to single player games and think this is glorious, and someone else is going to be introduced to multiplayer games and think this is glorious. The thing is, we don't really have to fight about it, especially with a game like Fallout 76. This is something that can be either one. Not by changing any inherent gameplay, not by changing the design vision. We don't have to fight whether or not this is a single-player Fallout or this is a multiplayer Fallout. Fighting over it is like 2 people fighting over a ball. I have a solution to that. Give everyone their own ball. And it's the same solution for Fallout 76. We're talking about a change in server rules, in how you enter, how you access the server. Not how the game is balanced, not how the game is designed. They've said you can solo the game. If you can solo the game, then it does not need to be rebalanced for a single player. All that needs to happen is how you access the game changes. In other words, keep the open invite multiplayer, absolutely, by all means. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with multiplayer games. I can absolutely see where that would be exciting and fun and wonderful to people. But here's the thing, the people who are absolutely dedicated to playing with friends only or single player only, they are never going to join the open invite multiplayer. I think a lot of people who are adherents of multiplayer think that if you add friends only or if you add single player only, somehow that's going to diminish the stock of people they get to play with. But that's not true. Someone who is completely dedicated to playing a single player game just isn't going to jump into it because Bethesda says so. They will completely ignore the game. And that's a loss for everybody, for the single player and even the multiplayer community, because even if the person who loves single player doesn't ever join the open invite multiplayer, if they do get to play Fallout 76 as a single player alone exploring the world, they will now have a vested interest in the game. They will be interested in buying the DLC. They will be interested in seeing the live service continue. The same thing with people who are friends-only players. They will not join the open multiplayer just because everyone tells them, no, really, it's going to be fine. And that's completely fine and understandable. And it isn't really any kind of loss to Fallout 76 to allow these people to access the game their way. It can only benefit the game. It can only benefit all of the players, the people who play in open invite, the people who play in friends only, and the people who play by themselves. And there is a chance even that after playing their single player game, after playing their friends only game, some of those people might decide, you know what, I should actually try the open invite multiplayer, something they would never do if that was the only option. You know, I used to play Left 4 Dead with my friends. It was great, but you know what I loved about it is that I could also play it by myself. It was a much greater challenge to see if I could take the relatively idiotic bots and get myself extracted in Left 4 Dead 2, and more often than not I did. And for me, that was great fun. Different people play things in different ways. Now, there are many online survival games and survival games that are available for people to play. And from the sounds of Fallout 76, it is more detailed than most that I know of. But it is still a survival game. I would put it closer to Ark Survival Evolved than I would ever put it to something like Fortnite. I don't see it as a Fortnite-style game, but I do see it as essentially Fallout Survival Evolved. But here's the thing. These survival games, they offer you the option to play single player, many of them single player offline, to password lock your server, which essentially means you're going to be playing with friends only, or to play in open invite multiplayer. And because I think some people don't really believe me when I say that, I'm going to show you. This is 7 Days to Die. This is Ark Survival Evolved. This is Citadel Forged with Fire, if you ever want to get your Quidditch on. This, of course, is Conan Exiles. Here we have dark and light, basically with the engine that Ark is built on. Empyrean. Savage Lands, and Space Engineers. Why do all of these survival games offer this many options? Why do some of them have such amazing options? Because it offers them the most players. People who want to play the open invite multiplayer, people who want to play with only their friends, and people who want to play by themselves. Some days you just want to go build something and not worry about anything else. It's not that I don't think Fallout 76 vision can work. It's not that I don't think Bethesda can make a fun game. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. That is why I believe they should offer more server entry options. Why they should allow more access, more server access for single player, friends only, and open invite multiplayer. I want to see the most people in the game that the game can have. I'm not trying to water down the multiplayer. I'm not trying to take away the open invite multiplayer. As I've said before, the people who want single player only, the people who want to play with friends only, they are never, ever going to be forced to play multiplayer just because you say so. Sometimes people just want to be alone, and sometimes they want to not be. Giving the game options gives everyone an option. And I think Fallout 76 can only benefit by that. All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything, at least that I can think of for the moment. I'm sure I've missed something, and I'm sure someone somewhere will be absolutely convinced that I'm trying to steal all of their fun. But I'm really not. If anything, I'm trying to make sure that all the fun you imagine you can have will be there and will be supported in the long term. Because even a game, and I know Fallout 76 is not Fortnite. Trust me, I know you don't have to tell me that Fallout 76 isn't Fortnite. But even Fortnite, with its vast multiplayer community, probably still has a few people that only play the PvE option. There's nothing wrong with adding extra players to your player base. Just ask him. Alright, I would like to say thank you for watching. I hope you found the video thought-provoking and maybe just a little tiny bit entertaining. I would like to invite you to subscribe. Thank you kindly if you are already subscribed. Invite you to like and share, and if you're feeling absolutely crazy, hit that notification bell, because I think honestly, at this point, if we ever want to see videos get to people, that's the way we've got to do it. But most of all, above everything else, I would like to ask you to please take care.